Welcome back, dear viewers of Neurobytes channel. Today, we're going to take you through the dark corridors of history and uncover 10 experiments that, unfortunately, seriously missed the mark. To be honest, we learn a lot from our mistakes, but sometimes, experimenters go one step too far. Grab your popcorn because these stories of human experiments from the past will leave your brows furrowed in concern, but also with a sense of gratitude for living in a time where ethics take precedence. So, get ready for some harrowing tales as we embark on a journey through the 10 worst human experiments. You certainly won't regret learning about these bizarre and tragic events. Click subscribe and the bell icon so you don't miss any of our shocking videos. Let's get started. 5 worst human experiments. 5. Plutonium experiment. During nuclear tests in World War II, scientists conducted an experiment known as plutonium injection. In this cruel testing, patients became unwitting subjects. Without their knowledge or consent, they were injected with plutonium to study the effects of radiation on the human body. These patients were not informed of the risks or the actual purpose of the experiment. Sadly, many of them suffered severe radiation sickness and complications, and some died as a result of the experiment. Plutonium injection remains one of the most horrifying examples of disregard for human rights and ethical standards in the history of experimental science. 4. Stanford Prison Experiment. The Stanford Prison Experiment was a psychological experiment conducted by Philip Zimbardo. Students were randomly assigned roles as guards and prisoners in a simulated prison. However, the experiment quickly spiraled out of control as the guards became cruel and violent towards the prisoners, who endured severe psychological trauma. The experiment lasted only 6 days, but it had deep and lasting consequences for the participants, illustrating how far people are willing to go when placed in certain roles in an authoritarian environment. 3. Radiation experiments on orphans. During this experiment, the U.S. government conducted experiments on orphans by exposing them to radiation to study the effects on human bodies. Children became unwitting subjects, and they were not informed about the risks of the experiment. The experiment left lasting health consequences and trauma for these children, marking a scandalous example of human rights violations and ethical standards neglect in research. 2. Tuskegee Syphilis Study. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study was a 40-year experiment tracking the progression of syphilis in African American men without their knowledge or consent. Although penicillin became an effective treatment for syphilis during the experiment, researchers deliberately withheld treatment to observe the natural course of the disease. This resulted in the deaths of many participants and serious health consequences for others. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study is a glaring example of the disregard for ethical principles and human rights in medical research. 1. Nazi medical experiments. During World War II, Nazi doctors conducted brutal experiments on prisoners, including testing for cold resistance, vaccinations, sterilization without consent, and poison experiments. These crimes resulted in numerous deaths and indescribable suffering for many victims. Nazi medical experiments remain the darkest examples of the abuse of science and human rights in history, demonstrating the extent to which human decency can be abandoned when ethics and morality are entirely disregarded. Thank you for joining us in this video about the 5 worst human experiments in history. These tragic events serve as a reminder of the importance of ethical and moral standards in the world of science and research. We'll continue to explore shocking stories and intriguing facts on our channel, Neurobytes, and I invite you to be a part of our community. Subscribe to receive regular doses of education, entertainment, and thought-provoking insights about the world around us. Just click the subscribe button and join us in our quest for knowledge. Your support helps us keep creating quality content. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you soon.